What does it mean to be a good friend for another? What does it mean to have a good friend for you? Jordan Peterson has some good insight. Listen in, then I'll share my thoughts.
Well, let's talk about friendships for a minute. Here's how you know if someone's your friend. A, you can tell them bad news and they'll listen. They won't tell you why, you're stupid and why that bad thing happened to you and how something worse happened to them once and, derail the whole conversation. You can actually tell them bad news and they'll listen. So that's a good thing. And then this is a weirder thing. You can tell them good news and they'll help you celebrate. And that's a really good way of deciding who you should have around you, because if you have someone around you, something good happens to you and you're kind of afraid to even admit it because, God, something good happened to you. It's like, you let that be known and it'll certainly be taken away. So, you come out and you sort of tell someone half-heartedly that something good happened to you and they give you a whack and then talk about, the great thing that happened to them 3 years ago, or worse, the great thing that happened to someone that they knew 3 years ago. It's like, go away from that person. They're not helpful to you, and they're not helpful to themselves either. And so you want to surround yourself, you got to think about this. You got to surround yourself with people who want the best for the best part of you. You can hang around with weasels and losers that are trying to pull you down to justify the fact that they're spiraling downhill as well. And the upside of that is you don't have to have any responsibility, and you can all whine about how wretched life is, so that's pretty attractive. But I would say it's also a bad medium to long-term plan. And so it's acceptable and desirable to try to surround yourself with people who are facilitating your development. And you might say, well, I've got people around, I know them well, they're not doing that well, and they don't fit into that category. It's like, what's your point? What are you going to do with them exactly? If they'll listen and cooperate with you and move towards a better future, great. If they don't pay any attention and they keep doing the same damn things over and over and they're not going anywhere and it's painful, then maybe the proper thing to do is say, you just have your misery. I'll go off and have my life. And maybe you'll wake up at some point in the future and think that's a better way of being. Because just putting up with it is, well, they call that enabling, right? You put up with that sort of behavior, you're providing tacit consent for it and even tacit approval. It's like, it's a bad idea. You have, I would say, both the right and the responsibility to surround yourself with people who are good for the best part of you.
Very reasonable. Some wisdom there for sure, right? A friend, you can share bad news with them. Not only they'll listen, they'll be there with you, and sharing good news. They'll celebrate, the good things in your life. That's a good friend, no question. But the sages of Israel in the Talmud turn it around and they say that you have to k'nei lecha chaver. Literally means buy yourself a friend. Buy yourself a friend. What does it mean to buy? It doesn't mean literally to purchase, but do things for someone to be your friend. Jordan Peterson is speaking about, in a very self-directed way, who's a good friend for you. Who's a good friend for you will be determined who are you a good friend for. Maybe it begins the other way. Instead of looking who I can have around me that's going to facilitate and help me and make me fill me and make me better, maybe K'nei lecha chaver is saying, buy yourself, again, not literally buy yourself, but do things for another to make them a friend. Do things for them, whether it's an act of kindness, whether it's being there for them in their time of need. Making the phone call, not because you need something, but just to say hello. Do things that will facilitate friendship. So it begins with us, not with the other, what they'll do for us. If we do that for another, then that facilitates friendship, and then it will, with certain people, definitely reflect it back and give him back, and sometimes even more so than what we gave. But the key to this is instead of looking for those who are going to share good news, be happy in your good news, and when you have bad news to share, that they will be there for you. Begin with yourself and being that good friend, and then that will, reciprocate and be given back. That's the Jewish way.